What is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WWR here at the LaPenta Student Union at Iona University. It's Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I am your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you the best and only the best sports on campus. So, you might notice I didn't bring my laptop today. I'm gonna do this straight from the heart. So, I'm pretty sure we all know why we're here. The New York Yankees, again, failed in the playoffs, again in October, and again it was at the hands of the Houston Astros, and this time it wasn't even close. It was a sweep, and I hate that I had time to sleep on it because I'm going into this way too calm. I am way too calm going into this because this franchise doesn't need calm. We are past the point of calm. Calm is what got us into this horrific situation in the first place. So let's just go over it for a bit. So, game one, you had a chance. You had Bader hitting the home run in, I believe, the second inning. And then you had Verlander on the ropes multiple times. Verlander on the ropes. And then Josh Donaldson just biffed it twice. So there's the $25 million investment you made over the offseason. There's your big move that you made in order to avert getting one of the many slam dunk shortstops in free agency. So that's fantastic. Josh Donaldson single-handedly losing you game one. And then Boone going to the bullpen. I don't think I've ever seen a manager punt a playoff game before. In regular season, yeah, I've seen him punt many games. Like, he punted maybe like 30 games in the regular season, 30 games a year. In the regular season, that's just what he does. And the excuse is always, oh, well, we got to rest guys up for the playoffs. And then when the playoffs come in game one, the issue is still, well, we got to rest the guys for the rest of the series. I'm like, okay, I get that the numbers make you go on with the script. And I'm not one of those people that's going to blame the analytics. I'm going to get to analytics later. But when you go into a playoff game with a script, it's like, okay, Verlander's going to blank us. Tyone's not going to do well. And, it'll be a lost cause by the fifth inning or maybe the fourth inning, middle of the game. The game's already going to be lost. Verlander's going to be cruising. And then, we'll throw some garbage out there. We're going to throw Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino. No disrespect to Lou Trevino. He was fine in this postseason, from game three. But, dude, when you're in that situation, in the playoffs, more than any time, situations change. You can't go into a playoff game with a script and not deviate from that script because in the playoffs, everything is so volatile. Everything can change with a single pitch. And I love analytics. I do. But you can't go in there and you can't game tied at 1 in the 6th with a chance to steal him off their ace, one of the best pitchers in the world. You have a chance to do that, and you're still going to be like, nah, can't deviate from the script. God forbid we deviate from the script. Jeez. Then games 2, 3, and 4 went the same way. Game 3 sort of went the same way too. They went to Trevino when the bases were loaded in game 3. Your back's to the wall, your season on the line, and then you go out there and you throw Lou Trevino out there instead of riding with Garrett Cole. And I get it. Taking Cole out is not what I'm mad at. I'm not mad at them taking Cole out. But it was the fact that they didn't go to their best guy. They didn't go to Loizaga there. Your best guy in that situation is Jonathan Loizaga. Your season on the line, and they have a couple of guys on base. If they're down by 2 runs, that's a much different situation. Momentum shifts. Believe it or not, there are some mental aspects to baseball. As much of a numbers game that it's become, there are still mental aspects to it, and this is a lot coming from me. I'm Captain Analytics. There are very, very, very few people in this industry who are as pro analytics as I am. And even me, I'm like, dude, deviate. For once in your life, just deviate. Go with what the game tells you. Look at what's in front of you. And like I'm gonna get to my point on analytics because like I was listening to the rant by Michael K. And I love Michael K. Michael K is 5 million times the broadcaster and radio host and journalist than I probably will ever be. But he's gonna go out there and the same conversation every year. It's just blame the nerds. Blame the nerds, blame the nerds, blame the nerds. If the nerds were in charge, Jonathan Loizaga would have been in game 3. You would have gone with different guys in game 1 if you really listen to the nerds. And I'm sorry, this Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa starting multiple games and hitting in spots that they shouldn't be hitting in, that's not the nerds. What if this is genuinely what the Yankees' internal metrics are telling them, then we have a way deeper problem than what I think the problem is. And the problem, I think, is pride by Brian Cashman. I'm going to get to that later. But if the internal metrics genuinely told you, I'm sorry, there is not a single sabermetric statistic out there that suggests that Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa in the lineup every day give you the best chance to win from an offensive standpoint. There is not any sabermetric stat out there that says that. Sure, defensively, Josh Donaldson is great. He's an all-world third baseman defensively. But Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is maybe the worst shortstop in the world. I am not exaggerating when I say that. I think it couldn't get any worse than Glaber last year, but Glaber at least kept up, like a 100 WRC plus. At least maybe he could, pop for a little power at a time. But Kiner-Falefa is one of the most useless baseball players, the most useless everyday baseball players that I have ever seen wear pinstripes. And that is including guys like Gary Sanchez, because at least Gary Sanchez, when he got hot, could carry the team for 3 weeks before he disappeared. At least Gary Sanchez, early in his career, made up for his terrible defense with his all-world bat early in his career. When I look at the problems surrounding the team, and guys like on the Michael K show are going to be afraid to tell you this because they're being paid by the Yankees. It's yes, as much as they want to admit it, they are being paid by Hal Steinbrenner. They are not going to go out there and criticize the way the team is run. And I get that. Hey, it's a business. It's a business. There are certain people who pay certain people. It's fine. I get that. I understand that. I understand that there are other factors at play that prevent you from saying what you want to say. That's something that I'm going to have to deal with. But for now, I am financially bound by nobody. And you are going to know how I feel about this team, about this organization, top to bottom, because there are problems everywhere. Starting with the top. Let's start with Brian Cashman. The last few years I've been covering this team, I've never really been on the fire Cashman train because I said, you know what? He feels a competitive roster. Handcuffs him financially. That it's like I'm sure if the Yankees fired Brian Cashman, there would be a team with a GM vacancy that would jump on him immediately. But after the way last offseason transpired, it was so easy. It was such an easy thing to fix. The one move you made, the one big move that you made to quote-unquote fix this roster was trading Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela to the Minnesota Twins for Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa for essentially the same amount of money that it would have taken to non-tender Gary Sanchez, keep Gio Urshela at third, and actually foot the bill for once in your life to sign a guy like Carlos Correa, who ended up signing a short-term deal anyways. And then as the season went on, Josh Donaldson, I kept getting chance after chance after chance because Brian Cashman is so incapable of swallowing his pride and admitting that he was wrong in even one way. Admitting that he was wrong. It took Aroldis Chapman going completely AWOL in Miami to keep him off the postseason roster, and he is one of the worst relief pitchers on the planet. Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa were in there for no other reason but for Brian Cashman to be possibly proven right. And then I saw reports saying, like, from Andy Martino, and I know all these reports are mostly garbage, the agents are paying guys to say stuff now, but I heard stuff. It's like, players in the locker room are being told that they don't, it was bad, they were booing Judge, so suddenly this is all our fault for wanting something other than consistent disappointment in the playoffs, and that's not even including Game 4. One of the Yankees' mental health coaches, who, by the way, is doing a terrible job. These guys fold. A team that is way too talented just folds the moment they see Houston, the moment they set foot in Minute Maid Park. They fold every time. Mental health coach, team therapist, doing a terrible job. Contacting David Ortiz to speak to the New York Yankees about the 2004 ALCS. Are you kidding me? That is one of the most insulting things to this franchise. Wow, and it was greenlit by them. The worst moment, the biggest collapse in the history of North American sports, and you are going to use it to motivate your organization? The organization that was the victim of it? I guarantee Derek Jeter still loses sleep over that. 5-time world champion Derek Jeter. All the money, all the fame, nearly unanimous Hall of Famer, Yankee legend for life. People are going to be talking about him 300 years now. He still loses sleep over that. One of the greatest hitters of all time still loses sleep over that. One of the most underrated center fielders in MLB history still loses sleep over that. Mariano Rivera, the greatest reliever of all time, still loses sleep over that. Jorge Posada, one of the more underrated catchers of all time, still loses sleep over that. Everybody on that roster still loses sleep over that series, and you are going to welcome it? Do you have any idea how insulting that has to be to those players? And that's not even talking about the roster. The guys who fold all the time in October, just fold. There has to be serious turnover. And I don't think this front office is capable of doing it. And honestly, the gloves, they should have been off years ago. This front office, most of the people running it, half of them survived 2004. Half of them. Over half of them survived 2004. And people wonder why the Yankees are seemingly behind the curve. They have people there who were hired during the Clinton administration who are still there. And this goes from top to bottom. It goes to Hal Steinbrenner for seemingly his profit incentive. And yes, he does pay $250 million a year, but that's the strategy. The strategy to, the Yankees are a flawlessly doing business. As a business, they are the ultimate blueprint for any sole owner who is looking to turn a profit from a sports franchise. You invest just enough into the team to generate interest, but you don't invest enough to really go over the edge and really win a championship. Because then you're talking about the luxury tax, you're going to have to pay a lot more money. Your profit margins are going to take a hit. But if your incentive is that, then why are you owning a sports franchise? Hal Steinbrenner in a presser in spring training talked about bondholders. I don't like going this way, but did his old man ever talk about banks in bondholders as an excuse to not go out there and sign elite big league talent. And I know George was a problem. He was very problematic in the early 90s and the 80s. You know, Dave Winfield, he could tell you all about George Steinbrenner. But at least his priority was winning. And I'm going to ask this to the Yankee organization, from owners to executives to players to coaches and even the casual fans. Does this make you mad? Does this bother you as people who are involved with the Yankee organization? And I'm including fans, because guess who's paying the bondholders? Guess who's paying all those guys? Us. This is us. I'm responsible partially. I won the Yankee game a month ago. I gave Hal Steinbrenner my money. I paid the guys who are taking a once impeccable organization, a team that was so far beyond everything else on this planet, except for maybe a team like Manchester United or, you know, FC Barcelona or some other team, some other soccer team in Europe, like Juventus, like a team that's won a lot of championships in Europe. But at least in North America, the Yankees were head and shoulders the golden standard. You wanted to be the New York Yankees. And now, the Yankees are basically baseball's version of the Montreal Canadiens. They charge you a super high markup for tickets. They still think they're the gold standard because they won all those championships back in the mid-20th century, despite not really winning anything. Like, sure, the Habs are in a worse spot because Mark Bergevin is a eons worse of a GM than Brian Cashman, but the point still remains. The point still stands. They're a business. They're not a baseball team anymore. They're a business, and all they do is operate under the incentive of profit, and their main priority isn't winning. Like, sure, it is a priority because winning drives fan interest, and fan interest drives money and all sorts of other things. Like, more fans watching on the Yes Network means more ad revenue from advertisers wanting to pay because a lot of people watch Yankee games, and all sorts of stuff in the world of television and mass communication. Just all stuff like that is generated by fan interest and, you know, really demand. And all I'm going to say is that in 2017, the Yankees were the only spot in town where you can find a somewhat competitive team, because the Giants were terrible. The Jets were the Jets. In basketball, the Knicks were the Knicks. The Nets were the Nets. In hockey, the Rangers were rebuilding, and the Islanders, nobody knew what the Islanders were. And in New Jersey, yeah, the Devils, who, honestly, if it weren't for Taylor Hall, they wouldn't even have sniffed the playoffs in 2018. But now there's places for us to go. The Giants are 6-1. They have one of the best coaches in football. They have a future that is brighter than most franchises in the world. And they're killing it. The Jets, 5-2. Granted, they lost Breece Hall, but they're winning. There's interest there. That's a spot for Yankee fans to go. In hockey, the Rangers, they're a cup contender. That's a spot for Yankee fans to go. The Islanders, sure, they're kind of But the Devils, they have one of the most promising forward groups in the NHL. Jack Hughes is a superstar. Jesper Bratt leads the league in points. He's a bona fide star. Nico Hischier, one of the best number 2 centers in the league. He's on track to become a star. And that's not to mention all the other guys. Like, they have a good defense. There's stuff for Yankee fans in New Jersey who are Devils fans to distract themselves. And even talk about baseball. The Mets, crosstown in Queens, they have an owner whose sole priority is winning. And I gotta tell you, like, for casuals, they might just go to the Mets because, ooh, look, they're shiny. They're winning. That's cool. That's awesome. But all of this falls on the higher ups in the organization, in the Yankees. Like, all of this core came in so promising. You were gifted from the heavens a superstar in Aaron Judge, one of the best hitters, if not now the best hitter on the planet, Aaron Judge. You had a blueprint that was all but guaranteed for at least one championship in the 5 years afterward. But no, all of this is on you. You just had to mess it up. All because you just had to be the smartest guy in the room. Your pride and your ego got in the way of what could have been the next all-time great Yankee dynasty that we'd be talking about for years. But no, we had to do the playoffs are a crapshoot. No, forget that. Man, I've this feeling. I've been experiencing it too long with the Yankees. And mind you, I wasn't alive for the glory days. In 2009, I was 5 years old. The Gen Z Yankee fan that is starting to become, more sentient. They're going out into the world. They're going to start paying for it. That's the fan that hasn't seen anything. This is all we know. This end of year rant, this hollow feeling after the playoffs is all we know. And honestly, it's not changing. Cashman's going to be back. Boone's going to be back. In free agency, they've all but killed any expectations over there. There's another great all-time shortstop class. You go out there, it's such an easy fix. This team is such an easy fix. But they're not going to go out there because they had the easy fix last year. They passed up on it. They have the easy fix this year. They passed up on it. Also, not to mention, Bryce Harper was begging to be a Yankee in 2018. But no. Brian Cashman said, we're good because we have Aaron Hicks and Miguel Andujar. Oh, man. Aren't you smart? My God. It's saddening. But honestly, you know what? There are teams in this region that are better set up for winning a championship than the Yankees. And I'm going to talk about it now. Let's talk about the Giants. Okay, happy FaceTime, happy time. The New York Football Giants are 6-1. My God. It was close. At the end, it was close. Granted, the officiating helped a lot. That game should have been over 5 times, but Barkley did mess up on that run, the get out of bounds, and there was the hands to face call. Thibodeau was getting held on every play, but it wasn't getting called. And it got to the 1 yard line, but the Giants did what they have constantly done all year and just went out there and made the play. They made the play that they needed to make in order to win football games. And that's why they're 6-1. And that is honestly a testament to coaching. Like, I sound like a broken record saying this, but Brian Daboll, he's done miracles on me, man. He's done miracles on us, this entire town. At least Giants fans. He's done a miracle on all of them. Because not only are they set up to potentially make a run now with this horrible roster, but imagine what's going to happen once they start getting guys in here, once they start getting more talented, once the cap room sort of clears up after Gettleman's horrible, disastrous tenure. And they go out there and they get good guys in free agency and trades and draft picks. Very soon, we're going to be looking at the Giants as a serious player for a championship. And maybe even more. And honestly, with the quarterback situation, Daniel Jones has been amazing, especially in the fourth quarter. He reminds me a lot of Eli Manning in 2007. I know the Giants won the Super Bowl that year, and I know Eli Manning is a legend in this town. But But Eli Manning in 2007, didn't blow you away on the stat sheet, but he went out there and he won games. Anybody who watched him that year could tell that, yeah, that's a quarterback who you can trust. And then the fourth quarter this year, I think, has 5 game-winning drives. Already in 7 games, 5 game-winning drives. That is the mark of a quarterback who you can trust in a big-time clutch situation. There has not been a lot of better quarterbacks in the NFL this year in the fourth quarter than Daniel Jones. He is nails. Straight up nails. And the NFL rewarded him for it. NFC Offensive Player of the Week. First Giant quarterback with 200 passing yards and 100 rushing yards in the game since 1934. I can't even tell you who the Giants quarterback in 1934 was. Although I'm pretty sure 200 yards passing was a lot in the 30s. It's great. It's great, and honestly, not having to worry about the quarterback that much opens up so much for this franchise. Because imagine once the receivers either A, get healthy, or B, once they bring in another guy. Because I'm pretty convinced at this point that an Odell Beckham Jr. reunion next month seems kind of likely. He's been flirting with certain players on Twitter, especially Saquon Barkley. He loves New York. He loves the Giants. And like Landon Collins, he just hated Dave Gettleman. And Dave Gettleman's gone. And that shows just how much of a negative impact he had on this organization. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. Gettleman's gone. He's not our problem anymore. We're talking about winning. We're talking about championships. And, I mean, Saquon Barkley. What can you say about Saquon Barkley? He's another guy who just makes the plays. On that fourth quarter drive on the game winner, he had that awesome run, like around the 30, where he was running toward the right. It was like an inside zone play toward the right, but he danced around a little bit, found a hole on the left, and he just burst through for 20 yards, making a couple of moves, making a couple of shimmy shakes on the jukes. He was amazing on that last drive. And then the receiving game, he's been great. And this offense is so adaptable. Mike Kafka and Brian Dable, again, so creative. And a lot of people are talking about the Giants are so good because they got old school toughness. No, it's the opposite. It's not old school toughness. Well, sure, that's a bit of old school toughness, but it's mostly due to modern innovation, modern play calling, modern design, modern roster construction. Well, not roster construction. Yeah, that's what we're going to see in a couple of years, but utilize the guys that you have to perform to the best of their ability and use their strengths and scheme your way to victories. And sure, they haven't all been they've been close. All of them have been close. My heart rate has been going up in the fourth quarter in every game, but you know what? They're winning. They're winning games. In the fourth quarter, this Giant team buckles down and they find ways to win. All because of their modern philosophy that was adopted by the hiring of Joe Shane and Brian Dable. This game. Last week, I was going in the game against Jacksonville going like, yeah, they're going to win this week. And they did end up winning. Sure, it was close. There were times where Jacksonville was dominating. Dude, Travis Etienne ran all over them, but they found ways to win. They made plays when they needed to make them. And it's amazing. Dude, Dexter Lawrence has been one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Kayvon Thibodeau has found his way, has started developing and really started pushing the edge and making guys hold him every play because that's how physically dominant he is. He's such an athlete. On a 60-something yard run by Travis Etienne, Kayvon Thibodeau ran from 125-yard line to the other to chase him down. Meanwhile, this is Travis Etienne, no slouch, first-round draft pick. Really good running back in college. He was fast. But Kayvon Thibodeau is such an athlete that he just ran him down. And it's so funny how, like, the big concern for Thibodeau coming into the draft the was his character issues. And honestly, whenever scouts say stuff about character, just don't listen to it because Kayvon Thibodeau was billed as a cancer and Le'Veon Bell was billed as an altar boy. So don't listen to anything that scouts say or what draft analysts say about character because most of the time it's all just I can't say the right word without cursing, but you know what I mean. It's lies. It's straight up lies what they say about character concerns coming into a draft. And sometimes, yeah, it is a little true. But most of the time there's no merit to anything these guys say about character coming into the draft. And no, I'm excited. I'm excited. I've said this a lot, but I'm excited. That's the most I've been able to say about the Giants to my optimism in years. Years. I have to say that about the Giants. You know, I'm liking their odds. I do. I really do. There are a lot of good players on this team. There are a lot of good players, and even the players that aren't good, they make plays. And that's all the makeshift roster like this. You just got to make the plays, man. I don't really know what else to say. It's fun. It's fun to be a Giant fan again. And honestly, like football's always been my pride and joy. I've just been paying so much attention to baseball over the years because the Yankees have been kind of competitive and the Giants have been a disaster. But you guys are gonna know how much I love football. I really, really love football. And the Giants are just making that love grow once again. Man, I might would talk about hockey, but we kind of are running a little late here on time. I typically just like to do half an hour in here. But anyways, from the studios of WIUR here at Iona University in the La Penta Student Union, this has been Woolly Mammoth Wednesdays. I'm Cameron Woolley. Take care, fellas.